420 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. So hello and welcome to the Cannabis Show. My name's producer Vince, and here's your host, Jake Brown.
Thank you, producer Vince, and welcome to the Cannabis Show, where we talk all things weed.
Hashtag all things weed.
And that's the serious marijuana news along with the fun stuff as well. And if you check out thecannabis.co, you can see the latest tips from master grower Jorge Cervantes.
My terrible ones are available on Twitter.
You can read my new review of a high CBD strain.
Not so psychoactive.
And learn how California is tackling regulations in recreational weed.
Slowly, apparently.
Producer Vince, how are things in your world?
You know, they're going really well. They're not quite as good in your world down there in Mexico, are they, Jake? How's it going?
I am currently in Mexico. I
am currently in Mexico.
I do sound like I am in some kind of hostage video, don't I? We're just going to pre-tape it. I've got a proof of life back here. I'm guessing I missed the internet right now because I promised to get off my cell phone for a week. So yeah, I hope you're having fun. What's going on in Colorado, Vince?
I'm encouraging everybody to blow up your Twitter while your phone is off for the next week. So everybody tweet your hate to Jake right now as we get into the Week in Weed.
At Fake Jake Brown, but it is time for the Week in Weed. I'm going to stop doing that. That is not happening
He did it
anymore.
strong for 2 weeks.
Yes. At one California university, cannabis is going to become more than the reason students are late to class and become an entire class in and of itself. According to Lisa M. Krieger of the Bay Area News Group, UC Davis plans on rolling out a number of courses on the physiology of pot coming this April.
That is just in time for 420, of course.
The timing does seem ideal. The course is an undergraduate level look at the human body's endocannabinoid system, the medical chemistry of THC, CBD, and other cannabinoids, as well as the benefits and risks of cannabis use. You know, all the stuff we learned about as kids.
My DARE classes when I was kids, learning about the endocannabinoid system.
I don't believe you ever made it out of DARE class.
I don't think that one happened at all, dude. But courses on pot do exist at other universities now, but generally they're taught on the law side, including Harvard, Vanderbilt, Ohio State University, and the University of Denver, which also includes cannabis journalism. So I think we're starting to see a cultural shift at the collegiate level.
And they're looking to expand this program too, including an advanced class for students at the UC Davis School of Medicine and one for the general public, which might be fairly popular as new states embrace legalization but lack quality information about the plant. Looks like pot may have finally found a mainstream home on college campuses.
Oh yes, finally.
Now let's turn to Utah, a place where pot is as popular as heavy metal and Heineken, but that didn't stop several people in line for the new Grateful Dead documentary, Long Strange Trip, from vaping before its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival.
You know, the Cannabist's own Katie Shapiro witnessed it firsthand before she caught the 4-hour screening, then sat down with director Amir Barlev to talk about the film, which will be streaming to the masses this coming May. Jake, did you grow up a Deadhead?
I grew up in the era of Fish and honestly couldn't name a Grateful Dead song that wasn't covered by Sublime.
There's one left.
So I am way out of my depth here. But I love the interview and hearing about how it all came together. When Barlev says that other than his kids, it's the thing he's most proud of, I was shocked, considering he's done documentaries on convicted child molester Jerry Sandusky and deceased Army Ranger Pat Tillman. It
did seem like a labor of love for him, considering it took 15 years to make. And he's been a fan of the Grateful Dead since he was 13. 13. When I was 13, my dad tried his hardest to get me into the Grateful Dead, but I ended up with, like, you know, Dirty Vandals instead.
I just got the Wayne's World soundtrack. That was what my mom felt comfortable with. But there's also tons of great nuggets that are in there, so check out the full interview at thecannabis.co.
Hi, Katie.
Now coming home to Colorado, local cannabis businesses are struggling to find ways to give back to their community, with some nonprofit groups turning down their donations.
The Producer Vince Fund is always accepting money for donations, just for the record industry.
And that's a great cause, but the Denver Post's Joe Vaccarelli found that some nonprofits are afraid of losing their federal funding or their nonprofit status, or that marijuana doesn't mix with their organizational goals. But there are some charitable connections being made. Vaccarelli talked with Tim Cullen, CEO of Colorado Harvest Company and a shareholder at OpenVape, who recently pledged $250,000 to the new Levitt Pavilion project that will bring an amphitheater to Ruby Hill Park in Denver. Now, those two two companies are the largest private donators to support the project.
And with tax laws being so strict for cannabis companies, that money can't be written off either, unlike most charitable contributions from businesses outside of the industry. So it seems like there's a real spirit of altruism there.
And not all organizations are turning away cannabis cash. The Rocky Mountain MS Center's development director, Jules Kelty, said that there were extensive conversations with their board before they could accept donations, ultimately deciding that since so many people with multiple sclerosis use cannabis, it only made sense to work with the industry.
And then on the other side, you have an organization like the Colorado Children's Hospital Foundation that won't take donations because they're worried the banks just straight up won't accept the cash.
And if you're looking to get involved, the Kind Colorado Foundation's Kelly Perez is apparently a good person to talk to. Perez is helping facilitate conversations between cannabis business owners and the community, so there's still hope. Now let's turn to the cannabis business and policy writer Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper flew out to California this week to lend some advice. California is 10 months out from starting recreational marijuana sales, and Hick has been there, done that. Speaking before a state Senate committee, Hickenlooper urged regulators to clamp down on home grow limits and pay close attention to edibles labeling as well as pesticide use on grows. Hickenlooper said that while he initially was not a fan of Colorado's Amendment 64, he was proud of how it rolled out. At the 35,000-foot level, there haven't been spikes in negative public health outcomes, and the state was able to eat away at the black market, he said. Now, as you go to the Cannabist.co to read more about Hickenlooper's trip, I have a little extra reading for you. Check out my deep dive on what legal states need to know about sketchy pot tax predictions. It's a look behind the numbers of marijuana tax system forecasts. For the Cannabist, I'm Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Great work as always, Alicia. Our first guest today is an expert extractor that created the popular concentrate known as live resin. Please welcome Kind Bill to the show. Hey, Bill.
Hey, good.
Thank you so much for coming on. Get out of here, Sharpies. You're not involved in making live res. So, I look at you as a legend, as somebody who really pioneered something here. But with any invention, there's a trial and error period. Can you tell me about the early iterations of live resin?
So, it was something that was in the back of my head for a long time. Mm-hmm. I came out of the gate thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to do this thing. No. It was a no, like straight out. Bad enough that I didn't come back to it for about 2 years.
Really? So what was what was wrong? Just
temperatures.
Sauce?
I think just temperatures. I was definitely going in the right, because I didn't change that much.
Okay.
I just probably was a little impatient and hadn't thought all the pressures and temperatures out.
Were you even getting a usable product at the beginning, or was
no,
it...
No, it was a complete loss, and it was early in concentrate, so it was super hard to even get somebody to sign up to give good product.
Okay.
To make a concentrate from. It was always like the answer for your trash or leftover. It's been a long education process, right? To be like, well, we can make the best thing with this.
With the best thing.
Right.
What year is this, by the way?
So, first time I ran anything frozen was probably 2009.
Oof, okay. So this is when people there's no value on trim. People are just take it.
Right.
And so were you experimenting with that or whole flower at that point?
I was definitely running some whole flower at that point as well. Definitely first time I ran frozen was trim.
Okay.
And we did a couple of simple small mistakes. We tried a purple strain. We really didn't realize that was already going to make something that wasn't aesthetically nice, and it just didn't come out. A couple years down the road, I had seen some other extractors maybe online posting about having run some frozen material, and I had some ideas from what they were doing. We were actually trimming, and I didn't have anything really interesting to smoke with the trimmers. Okay. And so I was like, man, I'm going to try this. And I just took some flowers that we were going to be trimming later in the day and froze them and made the first batch that came out that morning, just prepping for trimmers, and it was coming from the impetus of like, oh wow, it would be really cool to be smoking what we're working on today. We've never done that before,
right?
And like have a good window of what this thing that we've grown is going to be like, and it totally cracked my. It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Right, and so like right away you're blown away, and I love the like. Because I can think back to the time when it'd be like, oh yeah, we're gonna smoke and we're gonna trim, and like that's just how we're gonna knock this out.
Right.
So you're around, you're smelling all of these, essentially fresh terpenes that a lot of consumers don't even understand what that kind of experience is like, because by the time the product gets to them, it's completely changed, right?
Right. It's a fraction. The sensory experience from dried cannabis or from an extract made from dried cannabis is just a fraction of the living plant. And that is where the name comes from. It's not that the extract is alive, it's that it represents...
Thank God.
It's that it represents what the living plant expresses. And I've been a grower for a very long time, and I've been super lucky to sample some of the best cannabis in the world over that long career, and it's never compared to what it smells like alive. And this was maybe better. We were like, what?
Well, that like aha moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going through and you start turning it around. Like, what's the moment where you really see a change and you're like, okay, now we're doing it?
So there was another like good year and a half before the term came, and we realized that we could do this in a commercially viable way.
Okay.
And I was literally having a conversation with the founder of Emotech Labs, Giddy Up, and I was like looking at his machine, and we were talking back and forth, and I was like, can we freeze this thing? And it was like, you absolutely, it was rated to a temperature already. It was, so then we talked a grower into giving us some material, and we made another batch. And again, that first time that we did it in the machine, it smelled right, but we didn't get it right. In post process, it wasn't correct. So it then took an even longer time to talk the next person in.
Because they're going, you guys keep blasting this stuff, and we're not liking what we're seeing.
To getting some quality material. The first time we aligned the right material with the right technique, we won the Connoisseur's Choice in the Secret Cup 2013.
And
the very first run.
Wow, so you and Giddy Up are going, all right, I think we got something now.
Yes.
But it was the equipment meets this technique meets the right plant material.
Right.
Is that kind of the equation?
That was the equation, and still is.
So I know that you're pretty much like an open book when it comes to this. I really appreciate that, because I've seen a lot of people out there that they try and keep it all guarded. They go, we have proprietary techniques. We don't want people to be out there doing it the wrong way. What does somebody need to make live resin?
A licensed lab.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's start there.
A licensed lab, a cryogenic freezer, a closed-loop butane extraction system, vacuum ovens, vacuum pumps.
This sounds so crazy compared to the days when we were making bubble in the back of the dispensary. Okay, so this is really a lab
There's infrastructure
setting
behind this.
Yeah.
I don't take it lightly to call where we work a laboratory, and you could question any of the employees. I'm like, man, we're calling this a laboratory. It must be laboratory accurate. It must be laboratory safe. It must be laboratory clean. Make medicine,
right? Now, when you talk about the Secret Cup, when I think about concentrate competitions now, I think that there's so many ways to kind of gerrymander your product. What are you going to enter? Are you going to skim off the top? You're going to add natural terps back in? What do you think the future of concentrates in competitive areas is going to look like?
Man, it has changed so dramatically, and live resin flipped that whole competition thing on its ear. Like, guys started entering live resin in every category because you could maybe sneak it in, and there weren't categories for live resin in the beginning. The competitions are kind of for sale at the current where we are now. A lot of the larger competitions seem to go to the largest customer.
Right.
I think that something Secret Cup-like can come correctly as more states go recreational, and it just, that's the barrier of entry is finding communities that want these things to happen. But I think that format where the competitors judge each other, and it's just, and nobody knows whose entry is what, it is pretty fair, and it was a good format.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Now, what are you? Because I know it's all these different plants respond differently, and you're going to get a different end product. Is there a strain that you can think of where you're like, oh, this way outperformed, and then something that was just way underperformed or was really hard to dial in?
Oh, it's so, I wish it were that simple, even that it was just a strain. Because it's really, I have not been growing the cannabis we've been extracting for several years. Like literally from the first time that I made live resin, I'm a pot grower.
Right.
And then that day, I was all of a sudden a hash maker. And I haven't had a second to do anything else. So I haven't been growing the plants. I am currently
feel good to be back.
Growing again, yeah. I actually, it's an old joke that I used to say to friends. They're like, "What are you?" And I was like, "I grow reefer," and that's like, that encompasses it all.
There's
and I'm
resume.
like starting to feel that again, which is good.
Yeah.
But so it's so varying, There are things that speak to me. I love OGs. I love, the old Kush plants, the chems, the stuff that we came up with on Fish Tour in the early '90s, and those are the unforgettables
good
for
fish
me.
reference. I like it. We got 2 in an episode. Let's see if we can hit 3. You've been involved with the plant on various different ways for decades now, but a mutual friend and cannabis contributor, Rye Pritchard, told me that there was some problems when it came to actually getting licensed here in Colorado, getting badged, all of that. What happened?
So,
and I hope this isn't awkward with Rye in the room.
It's fine.
I was going to say, you're talking about him like he's not even here, homie.
In their infinite brilliance, in the initial rollout of regulation, they didn't want anybody that had ever been in trouble with cannabis to touch the cannabis.
Because why would you have the most qualified people involved?
No experience necessary.
Why would the person that spent his literal entire adult life working with this plant get to work with this plant in a legal environment? So yeah, super, super weird. So I found ways to remain relevant, but I couldn't be a grower. I couldn't be an owner. And I, before the regulation, I came in with the first cultivation center for extraction.
Okay,
and
straight.
I was just the first guy to be like, we're going to grow plants and make it all into hash.
Yeah, why not?
In this country, or in this market, we're also the only cannabis culture that consumes flowers. So like hash is the norm in worldwide and historical cannabis consumption, some type of concentration.
You look at India, you look at a lot of the, Southeast Asia, I mean, but then you also have places like Amsterdam, which have really kind of changed their consumption method. But then again, they're always adding tobacco in there too. Right. That's a very Euro thing.
It's very different.
Yeah. So you're like, hash it. So
I was out though. Like all of a sudden.
Right,
we built this facility, we were there one day, and then new rules came, and they're like, well, Bill, you don't get to be part of this company anymore. It was like my money, it was my thing.
Nightmare scenario.
So I walked away from it. I found ways to remain relevant. Consulting was very much a thing that we were able to do, but not easy still. And then last year, they decided that they would change the regulations and say that if you had, completed your sentence, you had stayed out of trouble for 10 years, that you could get a license. And I,
Did you have to repent?
Basically. My stuff really happened in the early 90s, and I've never been in trouble for anything else since. So big celebrations this year in August when that badge came.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations.
It's very cool.
I follow you on Instagram. In addition to being a connoisseur of fine cannabis, I also see you eating some ridiculously gorgeous meals. Favorite thing to eat when you're high?
Ooh, favorite thing to eat when I'm high.
because I don't like have a percent. I just want meat on a bone generally. Just like give me something I can get greasy.
That makes this bun-free diet of yours much easier, right?
Yeah. Not just me holding sad hot dog face, man.
So again, like the hash or whatever, anything executed on a super high level. Like I like almost everything, and cannabis makes almost everything better.
Right.
So it's hard to narrow down, but the best macaroons or like on the sweet side.
Okay.
Because there's so many different like texture and flavor and things going on there. And then, like crazy rich duck things. Me and Ryan, we eat pretty well.
Yeah, no.
I think we should get dinner sometime.
I am not jealous at all. Well, thank you so much, Bill. We're going to be back with you in just a moment. But first, let's get an entry into the new cannabis lexicon from our own weaver of weed words, Professor Pat.
Crystals. The common layman's term for the cannabis plant's trichomes. These tiny structures contain the vast majority of the plant's cannabinoids and are what is removed to create concentrates such as hash, hash oil, and keef. For example, that bud is covered in crystals, trichomes.
Thanks, Professor. Our second guest is the CEO of a company that lets people anonymously post their own cannabis content. Please welcome to the show, Alec Rochford, everybody. Hey. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
Grab a seat. So, the CEO of Duby. I got on there today. I was playing around. According to my stats earlier, my profile had 26 fires, but the picture I put had 347 fires. What does any of that mean?
So that means the flame in your profile is your score. So that score went up today, and then
because I started at 10 and then I was at 26, and I was like, that seems
that's a big jump for one day.
Okay,
that's a pretty big jump. I'm proud of you. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, usually you don't jump that much on the first day, actually. So that's good. So and then on the actual pictures or the videos, that's how many people have actually seen it.
Oh, so this is a different concept, because I get in there, I'm seeing everybody's pictures, and I've been in a committed relationship for years, so I don't know how Tinder works, but it seems like I could approve or disapprove photos by swiping.
Yes, so that's you can pass or you can put the doobie out.
Okay, yes. I think I put some doobies out on accident. Do those people know I put their doobies out?
They don't know.
Okay,
no, and I won't tell them either.
Thank you.
If your doobies are being put out, it is Jake's fault, though.
No, but I loved the concept of, it kind of reminded me of this old website I used to go to, hotornot.com, where it was just the most superficial thing. But I like being able to be like, oh, this is more content I would like to see, or more people should see that. Is that kind of the concept? Yeah,
that's the concept. I mean, it all revolves around which content is more popular and which content isn't. And so if you have more popular content, your score is going to go up. If you don't have popular content, score goes down. So it's kind of like a virus. It goes up or down.
That's okay, because I'm a big fan of Reddit, and I like upvoting or downvoting things. Does anyone just get into like negative score and they can't come back from it, or?
Well, no, because the algorithm will kind of judge what's going on with you lately more so than over time.
So
but,
you get a chance
but
to
we'll actually tell you.
Yeah,
we'll actually tell. You can go into somebody's profile and see if they put out more or if they pass more. So it's kind of interesting to see kind of their personality behind how they interact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that Duby touts that you can be anonymous and or you can have a full profile. You can be as out there or not out there as you want to be. Do you see a split one way or another with more people that are like, hey, I'd prefer to be anonymous and just kind of post, or more people that are like, hey, I'm out here, I'm using it?
When we first created the app, it was a big concern for us. We wanted to create, we're big proponents of the technology should work for the user and not the other way around. Meaning that you jump into the app and you're not telling us, hey, I love Coca-Cola and I love, whatever, just like Facebook is. We hate that, So we want you to just jump in there. Yeah, nobody likes it. So jump in there and just, have a good time. Don't worry about, telling us anything about you, and then we'll try to put relevant content in front of you that you would like to see.
Interesting. So who's adopting it right now? Like, what are you seeing? Are you noticing any trends, or is it because it's anonymous? You're just kind of like, there are people out there, they're using it, but we don't really.
It's really broad. There's not like one single group of people who use it, but most of these apps, you would assume that, hey, it's probably mainly millennials between 21 and 34, right? But that's not the case with us. You know, that's only probably 30% of the app. So it's a very diverse application, and it's just across the board. So not seeing too many, you know, certain trends lately.
Yeah, I'm a tech idiot, and even I found it was pretty easy to use. Even if I didn't know what the numbers meant, I was getting stuff out there. So what are kind of the different modes that people can engage with on Duby? Well,
you know, it's similar to any other social network, but it's unique in the fact that it kind of feels like a video game when you're in there. And so you can message people, you can comment on their doobies, you can pass them, put them out, you can share them to other networks, so on and so forth. But you know, the main thing behind it is that we just wanted to create a fun way for people to explore, you know, the cannabis community and to meet others with a like-minded interest.
Yeah, I found it immediately fun. I'm like, it's one of those things I didn't even know what the scores were, but I was like, let's start boosting them up. Do people find love on Duby?
A couple times, yeah. I've actually, I swear, there was a user who emailed me about it maybe 6 months ago or 8 months ago, and told me that they met their boyfriend on Duby, and I've seen it a couple times in the app too as well. So, you know, it's pretty cool to see stuff like that when you create something. It's fun.
Yeah, you're bringing people together. There's also kind of a location service that's built in. I didn't. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, so when we created the app in the beginning, we wanted it to be, you know, very unique and not, you know, I think that the difference is that when you go on something like Instagram, you know, and you post something, nobody's really going to see it unless they follow you. You know, I mean, it's kind of like shooting something into the dark of the universe and hoping for the best. You know, I hope that it trends. You know, I hope I meet somebody.
I hope that I can put in 50 different hashtags and a random bot will hit that hashtag, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're friends, right?
Yeah, and so, you know, we focus more on, you know, when you actually post this content, it's not going to go out to people who follow you. It's going to go out to people who are, you know, anonymous. It's anonymously going to be passed to people who are closest to your physical location. You know, we don't share your location with others, and so you can go on there, you can see what's around you and, you know, relevant information and just meet people, you know.
Bill, are you on Duby?
I am not. I was unaware of Duby. And
so if you're watching at home, go register at Kind Bill. That's available. Because it's weird. I see people on there that I recognize from other social platforms, so I always just try and find out. Because I always love when there's a new app. You never know what's going to be the next killer app. Do people still say that, or is that like a really douchey thing to say?
What's going to trend or whatever?
Okay, fair enough. Now I'm going to walk that back. How many people are on there?
So we have a little over 100,000 right now, and it's been growing about 15 to 20% month over month. So we've been seeing a lot of growth lately. It's been a lot of fun.
And so have you run into any issues with the app stores? I was asking, we just talked to the Kushmoji guys, and they're saying, no, we're pretty good. But I know that they're not always the most friendly to play with, including the Apple Store. Did I get that right?
App Store by Apple, the Apple App Store.
Thank you. How are you guys doing in that regard?
You know, Apple's actually been great for us.
Cool.
We're having some issues with Google right now, but you know, we have issues with them every once in a while, and I feel like it's our job to go in there and educate them about who we are, say that we're responsible, and you know, they don't really know what these apps are or what's going on, and so we have to just make sure, you know, to educate them and just show them, hey, it's a good app, there's good people on here, we do a good job moderating it, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I don't see all of the offers for people to like, I call a number and they send me drugs through the mail.
Yeah.
Or how do you guys monitor that stuff? Because the drugs never come, people don't. It's just a FedEx one way. You can send your money here to the Cannabis Show, but do you have to monitor that?
From what you've heard, right?
Right,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no, we do a good job of monitoring it. You know, users can report, you know, anything illegal that's going on in there, and people do report stuff that's not supposed to be in there because they're like, hey, don't ruin this for us, you know, it's great.
What's the next big step for Duby?
The next big step for us right now is we're launching our business platform next month. We have over 300 dispensaries who are in the app right now, and so it's all about giving them the ability to put their, you know, big beautiful product pictures of products and videos in front of users who are down the street in real time, and then track it on a map. And so to actually have some quantifiable, real analytics, some real results, instead of just saying, hey, I pay $5,000 a month to put my, put a pin on a map and I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, great. We can actually show you what's going on so you can justify it.
So that was one of the things I really liked, is it seemed like it was just a lot of user-generated content on that. So is there going to be a shift where now all of a sudden dispensaries are going to be popping up and we're just going to be putting them out left and right? Or is that like a separate thing where it's like, okay, and I'll go be advertised to over here?
Well, there's already over 300 dispensaries and product companies on there, and the feedback so far from users is they want to see new products and what's going on around them, because a lot of people want to know, where should I, what are these new products and where can I go buy these things, and they don't really have a platform for that right now.
Yeah, it did seem like the ones that were on there were very tasteful. They posted great pictures. It wasn't like a $100 ounce sale, so that's nice.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of in the same sandbox?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of mixed in with your feed, but yeah, I mean, if you don't want to see somebody's content, you have the ability to, block them or whatever it is, and we won't show it to you ever again.
So. Oh, that'd be so. I'm not blocking any dispensaries out there. I love what you're doing. Keep it up, guys. Thanks so much, Alec. I want to bring Kind Bill back in because I always want to find out what your preferred form of cannabis is: flower, concentrates, or edibles. I think this will be easy. Let's start with Bill.
I'm on a rotation.
Okay.
Live resin dabs and joints, and it just depends on the week, month, whatever.
How much is it, like a tolerance thing? Because I know some people that if they straight up dab, then it just becomes more and more dabs.
It's a tolerance thing. It's a time thing for me too. Like, I'm on the road now all the time. I'm always I'm between a lot of places. I don't have the opportunity to sit down and dab. I don't even have the opportunity to sit down and smoke a joint, but I can smoke one while I'm on a walk. Right. Or so I've been smoking a lot of flower the last probably 3 months.
Do you ever combine the two? Because I see all these people making those crazy joints that are covered in resins, and to me it seems like overkill a little bit, but I'm also a wuss, so...
It's a time thing for me. I like that. But those joints burn for 40 minutes. You put a bunch of ash in there.
I got stuff.
Who can do that?
Alec, what about you?
So I'd say lately flower for sure. More on the hybrid indica kind of route. Right before I go to bed.
Wait, so this has been a transition for you?
I was going through an edible trend for a while, and I love them, but the problem is that I feel like I don't really know what I'm getting, and so sometimes it makes me sleepy. Sometimes wake up from it and I don't really know what's going on.
Jacked up? Yeah. What's your edibles dose? What are you taking? You going for 100 milligrams?
No. Yeah, my partner does. He'll take down a couple of those, and I can't do it. I'm a total wuss. So.
No, and the sleep thing's really interesting to me, because sometimes a little 5-10 milligram before bed, great. But then I will get those things where I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I am high and I'm not going back to sleep. That's just a little fun fact about me. So I want to ask you guys, I love the idea of anonymity, and for so many years kind of being anonymous to a certain extent meant your livelihood. What do you think about kind of this current climate of people going less anonymous, more public? And do you guys think that, being more out about your cannabis use is the future? Or do you think that we might be headed back on that?
I sure hope the future continues in this out way. I mean, I love it. My kids' teachers know what I do. There's no secrets. Everyone in the family. I come from a very conservative family, and I just tell everybody what I do.
Where are they from?
The Midwest, Minnesota, and academia. So.
So highbrow conservative. That's fun.
Yeah. So definitely. It's one of my favorite things that, my kid's third grade teacher will come up to me and laugh and be like, where should I go when I go down to Denver? Or whatever it might be. Not that that's the actual, but that can be the conversation that's happening.
Well, and they'll go into DARE soon, won't they?
Sure.
Yeah, and so that's a whole different conversation, I imagine, that's happening. Right. And so being an out parent, can't be easy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go. Yeah. We haven't hid anything from our kids ever about how this has all come about. So I'm super curious to see how they receive it, actually, because they they don't think that there's anything wrong with cannabis. They don't have any attachment to it, as it's been legal their whole lives.
Right. There's no stigma that's built into it.
So it's totally, it'd be interesting to me how they receive that education or little segment.
Right. Alec, how long have you been kind of out of the canna closet? Or are we letting everybody know right now? Are we introducing the world to you as an former edible eater?
Well, I'd say, I'm posting pictures on the app every day of everything that I've got in my, in my weed cabinet at home.
I Duby,
so, yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry.
You'll see everything I love. So,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, no, I agree with everything he's saying. I think that it's going in the right direction. When we created the app, one of the things I was wondering, will there be people who are actually posting pictures of themselves and not just of their bud or their product or whatever it is, and just very surprised to see that everybody's out and comfortable with it, and it's kind of nice to see, because I think that it's the best group of people in the world, nicest people. So I think it's really cool to see. I think it's going in the right direction. I do.
See, it's interesting because we ran a story a few weeks back that's talking about how millennials don't want to really come out of the closet because they're worried about how it could affect kind of their job prospects in the future, and they're worried about having this kind of lifelong connection to pot once something goes on the internet, supposedly out there forever. Kind of how do you approach that, making sure that people that want to stay anonymous aren't surveilled? Is that a thing that the government does? Who knows?
Well, again, I mean, one of the staples of the app is that you can be as anonymous as you want. You don't have to tell anyone anything about you. You can just kind of check out what's out there and whatnot. And just again, pretty surprised that most people just are out there and want to see what's going on and aren't too concerned about it. And I think that everything's been trending in a way where they're drug testing less, of course, out here in Denver, and 10% less or so from last year. And so I think it is going in the right direction. I don't think it's as much of a worry. So.
I think the drug tests are now just to make sure that it's like not anything outside of pot, right? Like that's why I would have some people be like, all right, what's going on out there? If I find any nose stuff or any parties doing them, that's a different conversation. But I feel like cannabis, that's a little different. Are you worried, Bill, that all of the stuff that's been posted online with you and your pot use might hurt your future employment options?
No. No.
It probably works to your benefit. The more stuff that's out there, the better for you, right?
Yeah, but I'll be honest, some of my longtime friends, when I did the High Times article, and I decided to have my picture and use my name, a lot of guys were like, wow. There's no turning back now, right?
Right.
Because I grow cannabis. If regulation changed, I don't have a plan. There's not a plan B.
It's not. It's not get out. It's not head to.
I would have to go somewhere else for sure. Because I'm definitely out as a cannabis grower.
Hey guys, we're all out. And thanks for being here. Because it is time for the portion of the show every listener loves and every guest dreads. Here is the pot quiz. Bill, we're going to start with you. Are you ready?
Sure.
We have got some questions ripped from the headlines, no pun intended. So we're going to start question number 1 for Bill. Which Northeast state's legislature is currently looking again at full legalization? Is it A, New Hampshire, B, Vermont, C, Pennsylvania, or D, New Jersey?
New Jersey.
It's really good because I did not write that question and I didn't know the answer. Congratulations. You're on the board with 1 point. I know that, Chris Christie's definitely not the biggest proponent of any type of marijuana. They're just really planning on waiting for him to go, right? It's one of those all right, the clock started on you, Christie. But they've had medical forever. Well, are you seeing users out in New Jersey that are tearing it up?
I mean, all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the country. Yeah, absolutely. We have tons of users in New Jersey, thousands. So
awesome. All right. Well, that was a question I don't want to talk about anymore. All right, we're going to go to you, Alec. Earlier, we mentioned the new Grateful Dead documentary, Long Strange Trip. Who was listed as an executive producer on the film? Is it A, Steven Spielberg, B, Martin Scorsese? Is it C, Ron Howard, or D, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Oh wow, I have no idea.
I don't think he credits himself as The Rock anymore.
Oh, he absolutely does. And I smell what he's cooking. Is it this documentary?
I want to go with Spielberg on it, even though I don't think it's him. So.
And that is not correct.
Yeah.
A chance to steal over here, Bill.
C.
Ron Howard. I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
No.
We're going to go Martin Scorsese or Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
It can't be Scorsese. But it can't be The Rock either. I don't know.
It's impossible.
I'm gonna go with The Rock just because that's so ridiculous.
That is incorrect. Bill for the steal. Scorsese is correct.
Wow.
He was he came on kind of late in the project. He'd been trying to get this made forever. I think lended a lot of credence. I mean, Bill, we're gonna give you a chance to wrap it all up right here, I guess. Anita Thompson, widow of the late Hunter S. Thompson, announced plans to launch her own line of Gonzo branded pot. Where are the strains coming from? All right, this is right up your alley. Is it A, a guy who met Hunter outside of a Dead show in the 60s? Is it B, Monsanto? Is it C, an Aspen dispensary? Or D, the DNA of nugs from Hunter's old stash?
An Aspen dispensary, I would have to guess.
Ooh, it's going to go to Alec for a chance to steal.
What was D again?
The DNA of nugs from Hunter's old stash.
I'm going to go with that one.
That is correct.
They're Jurassic Parking weed now.
So it's about 12 to 15 years old. She claims that she's going to pull it from the stash and from some of the hash. That part didn't seem as plausible.
There's definitely seed in, like, Middle Eastern hash.
Okay.
For sure. And old school hash, the black stuff that we haven't seen in this country in a long time. You will find a seed or so in it.
That I haven't seen since that park in Italy. Oh, the good stuff. I was young when I was over there. Never mind. Don't watch this, Mom. All right, was this back to Alec?
I think so.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's
all right.
Alec's turn, yes.
Here we go. There's a chance to tie it up. In California, Assembly Bill 238 aims to prevent what group from gaining a monopoly in recreational cannabis, according to the assemblyman who proposed it? Is it A, the Teamsters, B, the Tijuana Cartel, C, the California Medical Association, or D, the Screen Actors Guild?
That's a good one. I have no idea. I'm going to go with, what was C again?
C is the California Medical Association.
I'll go with that one.
That is not correct. All right, Bill, chance to take it all.
I'm going to take a wild guess on the cartel.
Oh, back to Alec. The Teamsters or the Screen Actors Guild?
I guess the Teamsters.
It can't be SAG. Absolutely not.
SAG? I'm like, what kind of monopoly would they gain?
Their award show would be so much better, though.
It would be. All right, we can't end on a tie. Do I have my pot quiz from earlier today? Can we run that? Wait, what was the question? I don't even remember.
I have it right here. I'm more than happy to bring my phone out to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Look at this. Producer Vince getting involved. Give it up for Producer Vince, everybody. Brilliant. All right. It's a tiebreaker. Let's go. So back to Bill for an opportunity to win. California Senate Bill 175 would make it illegal to name your business after what? Is it A, a county the pot wasn't produced in, B, a parody of a cartoon character, C, a state monument or park, or D, national treasure Richard Simmons? All our listeners already know.
A.
That is correct. Bill takes it for the win. Thank you, Vince Phone. Yeah, they're trying to avoid people going, oh yeah, it's Humboldt grown. Yeah. And Alec, you put up a hell of a fight. Congratulations, Bill. And thank you so much for joining us. To Kind Bill of Kind Bill Concentrates. Alex Rochford of Duby for joining us. And thank you at home for tuning in. If it's your first time checking us out, we're available on your favorite podcast app or on the Cannabis.co. For producer Vince and the Cannabis Show staff, we'll see you next week.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win, I'm all in, I'm calling any posse you be raising at the end, I say it again, ain't afraid to get in, I be going for the jackpot with aces in my hand, I'm raw.